when prospects come to us talking about digital PR, you can broadly separate them into two camps. So you get the contacts who talk about digital PR as if it's a means to an end from an SEO perspective, and then you get prospects that talk about digital PR as a brand endeavor. So what is it for you?
I suppose it depends on what kind of brand we're talking about.
Famous SEO answer.
Yeah, it depends. End of recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the two big splits. Obviously, there's so many increments between them, but to look at it kind of as a spectrum, on one end you've got your kind of big retailers or big e-commerce brands that sell a lot of kind of stuff or are kind of really over-indexing in their terms of popularity. So I'm trying to think of a brand that might fit into that. But some of you like more niche fashion retailers that can perform in organic results on generics, even though they only sell a select few items of even though they only sell a select few items. They're probably the outlier, so I'm going to just move on from those. So you got your kind of big retailers, big e-commerce sites, or large B2B brands, whatever. They've got a lot of stuff that kind of makes SEO, in the broadest interpretation of that phrase, viable as one of their main marketing channels, right? So for those guys, they get the good fortune of having both. So in that instance, you've got digital PR that is looking to acquire coverage. The way we do it is to look specifically at the most relevant sites for that coverage rather than just kind of a blanket numbers game. For those, they have that available to them. Generally what we see is, you're still getting, in that instance, a lot of like brand links, so put into the homepage. You might have like product-led campaigns if they've got a cool product or like a bit of a spin on something that makes it interesting for a wider audience. But a lot of it's still brand. In those situations, you see those links and coverage coming through and translating to a couple of things. Firstly, you've got a kind of rising tide lifts all boats situation. So despite most of the links in a lot of those occasions pointing through to the brand or even just like the top level blog category. So a few of our clients will have links just pointing to their blog subfolder. Still in that situation, the effect, particularly over a long term, is that just the visibility of the site increases as you continue doing that. The other side that we see from continued digital PR is almost like the demand gen aspect of it, that if you're being talked about where your audience exists on, if you're into like female fashion, if you are in that space and you're getting a lot of coverage on like Vogue and is it Marie Claire or Mary Claire? Mm-hmm. Then one of the effects, again, you'll see over a period of time is that the actual brand searches will increase. So you get that kind of two-pronged effect. It's slightly different when you kind of scale it down to a much more niche brand that maybe sells a really specific set of products and not many kind of thing. Typically those are ones where, you correct me if I'm wrong, but we'd look at it in a kind of sales context and we'd say there is probably a point where SEO is available to you, but where we most often come across them, it's not necessarily yet. No. And we tend to then go down the route of digital PR and paid channels and things like that. Yeah. Same story with the PR really, because of the scale. You've just scaled it down in terms of product, in terms of like available search volume, all those types of things. So what you're most commonly looking at as the primary result is, again, with the kind of caveat of unless it's a really nailed on product specific campaign, and not many brands have something that's genuinely like mind-blowingly newsworthy just popping out every quarter, unless it's that, which is rare but doable. Quite often what you're seeing is perhaps a smaller instance of that rising tides lifts all boats situation, but you're more heavily seeing the effect on the demand gen, on the brand searches, and just the awareness of the brand in general. So more akin to kind of if we're doing content marketing for the purposes of search, kind of for the bigger brands, you've got that kind of blog content and awareness is the primary kind of thing we're going after, right? It's similar in that sense with digital PR.